Welcome back, everyone, to the latest episode of the CyberSec sessions. I'm joined here today by Zbigniew Tenerowicz, who is from the MetaMask team. You're the sort of lead of the security lab there. You'll get into a little bit more about what you do, but thanks so much for joining here today.
Hello. Hi.
So to start off with, could you give the audience a sort of brief overview of your career and what you're doing now at MetaMask?
Yeah, so I've been doing JavaScript security for a few years. My history with JavaScript security starts before I knew anything about JavaScript or security at 14 years old, when I wrote my first 5 lines of JavaScript that would crash Explorer on Windows 98, including the desktop rendering and everything. But not knowing anything about security, I didn't know it's interesting. I just thought, oh, I wrote a program that doesn't work, and moved on. Nowadays, I know this would be valuable, and I've been pursuing JavaScript security for a few years and focusing more and more on supply chain. And now at MetaMask for over 2 years, I've been working on the project we call LavaMoat, which is a tool for ultimate supply chain security, if I may say so, where we're putting in efforts to prevent attacks from working at runtime. So we're running with the assumption that any detection we might have had has already failed, and we have a malicious package somewhere in our front-end bundle or in our Node.js app building the bundle in CI, and we want to stop it from causing harm. And this is what I'm focusing on in my daily work, and it's a lot of fun and quite difficult.
I can imagine. I mean, it sounds like a really interesting tool. So for people that are looking to, I don't know, take advantage of that or use that, what can people start doing on their side?
Well, so you need to find LavaMoat. It's on GitHub. It's on NPM. The first step is to use the entry tool that we have, which is called allow scripts. And you can set this up in 3 minutes. And you're protected from the vast majority of supply chain attacks possible in NPM, because I don't have good up-to-date numbers on that, but off the top of my head, over 90% of supply chain attacks on NPM are lifecycle scripts. So when you install a package, it has a means to run a script right then when it's being installed, and it's running as the current user. And you don't want that. So the way to do it is to turn it off. And we're providing a tool to not only turn it off, but also selectively turn it on in a way that a malicious package, knowing that you do it, will not trick you into running it anyway. So that's our first most basic tool, best bang for the buck. And then the main LavaMoat is a bit of a step up, because you need to choose what tool to apply it with. And there's a bunch of documentation and guides to help you with that. But yeah, you need to put some more effort into putting it in place, because to prevent malicious packages from doing unexpected stuff, we sometimes need to prevent correct and benign packages from doing certain stuff. So some setup might be in order before you can actually use it. I still recommend it, especially for any critical software that you're running.
Absolutely. Definitely makes sense to at least go with the basic level, get things set up. A small bit of work for protecting against 90% of attacks is a nice way of doing it. Fantastic. And when we spoke before, you mentioned a bit of an update that you've got coming up with LavaMoat. You share maybe a few details of that?
Oh, yeah. So, internally, we're using LavaMoat to protect MetaMask. If the audience doesn't know, MetaMask is one of the more prominent crypto wallets. I don't know much about crypto. I focus on JavaScript security, and MetaMask is built with JavaScript. But the exciting part about it is there's millions of users out there using private key cryptography for signing things, and that's super exciting. And we want to help them be safe. And so we're continually updating the tools, and MetaMask is protected by LavaMoat. What I'm working on right now is rolling out our new tool to protect MetaMask and improving its compatibility with the ecosystem. So MetaMask is one of the projects with the biggest dependency tree I've seen in my career. And to protect that, we need increased compatibility. And so our Webpack plugin that we've released in beta a while back, as we're applying it to MetaMask right now, is getting a lot of compatibility fixes. And we're approaching the version 1.0. So sometime soon, maybe around the time these podcasts get out, maybe you have to wait until it gets a bit more colder, but definitely this year we're going to have the Webpack plugin ready for consumption. And you can try it right away because we're not planning on major changes to how it works. It's currently undergoing a bit of an audit from a penetration testing company that specializes in finding bypasses for things like LavaMoat. So that's very exciting and a bit stressful for myself because I'm going to have to fix whatever they find. But yeah, we're very close to 1.0, and I'm pretty sure your project can use it now.
Fantastic. Exciting news. Exciting news. Great. Now I wanted to chat on one of my standard questions here, but what do you think, in your opinion, the biggest threat in cybersecurity is at the moment?
Well, I think the biggest threat in cybersecurity is the biggest invention or the most powerful concept in software engineering. That's all the same thing, and that's composability. So I'm preparing a talk titled "Hackers Love Your Software Composability Too," because when we're building software now, we're not writing most of it from scratch. Some statistics say that 93 to 96% of web application code, the JavaScript that goes into a web application nowadays, is not written in-house by the company that's building the application. So all of that is stuff you get from NPM mostly for free. Imagine you have an internal team of 10 engineers. They build a front end to your web application. And then, in fact, the whole thing was built by between 1,000 and 2,000 people. That's how many people are involved in creating that software. So the biggest threat is that we have no means to know whether we can trust those people. And we're currently focusing on solutions that are akin to firewalls, where we decide what to let in, what not to let in. We analyze the code, but we're going to need more than that. We're going to need distributed private webs of trust. We're going to need means to crowdsource verifying who the people building our open source software are. And we also need to give them power to speak about their software, because now if a very popular and very small package gets reported a severe vulnerability, that information is going to propagate through all of the big and frequently used open source out there. So imagine you're using Express as your library for writing your backend API server. There's a tiny dependency of Express that gets a vulnerability. Express maintainers have nothing to say about this vulnerability popping up in your tools as a warning that you need to quickly address, even if the dependency is like Lodash that has 100 functions, of which one is vulnerable, and there's 2 other functions that are the only functions that your software ever uses, despite installing all of it, right? So this is the big problem that we have yet to solve. It's not just supply chain security, it's the whole management of supply chain in the open source ecosystem. We don't have precedent for managing supply chain where product flows one direction and no money flows other direction. We've had supply chains where people paid for goods. We've had those for as long as civilization remembers, but we never had supply chains where the motivation for producing goods is not also traveling backwards through that supply chain. We don't know what to do about it. I mean, there's some ideas, but none of them have been introduced fully yet.
Yeah, that's an angle I hadn't considered before, but you're right. It's everything's layers upon layers upon layers. So how do you kind of get to that? Rationalize all that. Fantastic. What advice then, on our last question, would you give to teams looking to attract and then also importantly retain cybersecurity talent at the moment?
Well, it's probably not new, but you need to think about your talent pool. And you can either try to do the best trying to find and retain people. You can go out, meet at a pub and work with them later, or you can look at the entire world. And yes, this is about remote work, but I'm not only talking about remote work. So remote but local is more difficult to do, but only slightly. The big thing you can do to be able to get and retain talent from a much larger pool is to solve the time zone problem for your organization and figure out how to allow people to work together while occupying different time zones. And this can be done. I mean, I'm doing this. The people I work on regular basis with are spread from Hawaii to Japan through Europe. We're across many time zones. And if you want to meet all at once, we either need planes or stay up at night, some of us at least, to hang out over Zoom. So there's always things to solve there, but if you solve them, the result you're getting is a unlimited range to reach to people. So it's a lot of effort, but then it's also a lot of benefit, because if you want to hire the best people, you should not assume the best people live next to you.
True, very true. And I think that holds up especially well in roles where a really specific set of skills are needed, right? When you need someone to be an expert in a particular area and you're looking in just your country or just even your time zone, as you say, you're really limiting yourself against what you can be doing.
Yeah, what if the best expert for what you want to do lives in Argentina, and the guy who could perfectly work with him lives in Northern Asia, and they would be great together? Do you let them try, or do you just assume, no, they're too dumb to work it out? No, you let them try.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think those are the organizations, the ones that can do that properly, are the organizations that are building talent well, and they're working well because of exactly that. Awesome advice.
And don't get me wrong, this is not easy, but it's worth it.
Definitely. Well, look, that brings us to all the time we've got for today. So thank you so much for your time, Zbigniew. For anyone that wants to know a little bit more about LavaMoat and things like that, where's the best place for them to start doing some research?
The best place right now is lavamoat.github.io. We're working on getting a domain, but yes, github.com/lavamoat/lavamoat is the repository where the whole tool suite resides, and you can read about it and figure out how to use it. Also, there's some video material. We're going to have more, and you can also follow me if you type Naugtur, Naugtur, into any text box, confirm, and get any results. It's going to be about me. So find me, go to my website, naugtur.pl. I have a lot of talk recordings about JavaScript and security and the mix of the two.
Fantastic. Great. Well, there you go. We'll put a link as well in the description for the people.
That's convenient.
Thank you very much for your time. Great speaking to you.
Thank you.
Cheers.